I didn't know really what to title this because it was such a strange day for the lighting. With my naked eyes, I could see things that were really kind of strange to me because the horizon just seemed, like it was. I don't know how to explain it, but it just appeared to be higher than normal. And then when I, started trying to focus at full zoom, I just couldn't get past this distortion. But I could see things that I normally don't see, like the water well above the islands. And those are part of the Hernando Beach Islands coming out. And that marker right there is the halfway marker to Bayport. You've seen it in some of my other videos. But I even thought, well, maybe I had my digital zoom turned off on the camera or something because it also seemed like things were more compressed. But obviously, I'm seeing water well above these rock areas that are usually at the edge, like the water just comes up to the edge of them. But you can actually see the water well beyond it. Um, but I was struggling to get this crisper, better view because I've seen better visibility, as you might have seen some of my other videos where you could obviously see the visibility was much better. It was more crisp. Um, so I didn't quite have the visibility, but I still had the distortion of the islands and the boats and the markers and everything. But what I was able to get was the horizon line farther back in the horizon. Um, and I believe this is due to due to due to. But no, I believe this was due because of the lighting exposure that nature was providing for me. It was a very overcast day. Matter of fact, the 360 video that I put out was of this same very day, even though I had the wrong date on it. I had the day wrong on my 360 cam. Um, so I took my camera, and because I was struggling with this, trying to get it a better, crisper view. I kept trying to change some of the settings in it. I even went to the scene mode and put it on a couple different scenes, like I put it on snow mode just to see if I could get better visibility. And some of them were better, but I still had this distortion issue at full zoom. Now you can see this boat, going past that one marker, and again that was the halfway marker to Bayport, Bird Rack. Um, Now, I'm not showing all the video. I just took a couple of little clips. These first two were short ones. And then I had a 7-minute one and then a 4-minute one. So this video isn't quite that long, but I'm thinking about just making a video out of all the footage that I did. I mean, I was out there for quite a while, so there is a lot of footage, but you can see some changes in some of it as the day goes on, and the tide is going out. I'm at the shortest setting on my tripod, but I'm still on the sand right in front of that little observation deck that they got there at Pine Island. So I know my camera sits up about 28 inches. The water was down a couple of feet. So, I could easily say I'm 3 to 4 feet high, more toward the 4-foot mark. I don't always measure everything to be right down to the nitty gritty, but I don't think a couple of inches matter anyhow. When I compare this to putting my camera, a foot and a half off the water, it's amazing what you've seen at a foot and a half. Now, 4 feet on this day, I'm seeing water well above a lot of these bird racks, which usually that water line comes to, um, just at the bottom of all these bird racks. And, a lot of these boats that you're seeing in the water right here are usually floating in the sky, or floating in the mirrors, what I like to say. But here, obviously, you can tell that this boat is in the water. You can even see the wake that it's making. This is a different setting I put it on because I wanted to, um, I don't know, just try to highlight the darker areas of the water. This is a bird rack that I normally don't even see out there. And to the left of it, you can see a little black dot. That is a boat. Now, what I did find was when I didn't zoom in as far, I got a better resolution than when I zoomed in real far. Matter of fact, you can make out the boats a little bit better in detail. Set back a little bit on my zoom, but look, you can kind of see how that water is reflecting the light or diffracting the light. I think this is light diffraction. It isn't reflecting, or it isn't that magical refraction pulling shit up from behind a curve. This is literally showing you that that curve is up higher, and the visible water line that you normally see is not the true horizon line. Everything above it, usually on some of the days where you got the miraging or the mirroring, these boats are above the visible water, so they get distorted really bad, and you don't even get to see this boat in a lot of my videos when the mirroring or the miraging is really bad, because it hides all of this. The light hides it, the mirroring hides it, the magnification hides it. I think there's a combination of things going on different days. Not on all days, but different days, different combinations give us different effects. And when we have that good visibility day, we can see for miles and miles and miles and miles. It's unbelievable how far I was actually seeing. Like I said, I was seeing stuff out there on that horizon that I don't normally see. Um, so that's why I was trying to do all these different camera settings to get the best view that I could possibly get. Um, and a lot of the globe people, they say, oh, here was one that why don't you ever see water past these bird racks or past the boats? Why is it always blurred out, or blah blah blah? Well, here you go. Here's your water well past the edges that we normally see. This is the true water line that's usually hidden, true horizon where it's usually hidden. And if you look further back in the background, you can see how it starts blending in to the sky. And that's that mirroring effect, because I don't think you ever get past the mirroring effects. And look at these boats. Oh my goodness. They're way out there, people. Like I said, I'm not using full zoom. Actually, I think I might be on this part. But I did use, I don't lie, I did use the contrast, the brightness, and the saturation. I tweaked it a little bit to try to highlight things a little bit better. I turned the brightness down to bring out the darker areas. But you can obviously see this water goes on and on and on. And here's the thing. For every little, okay, if you start out with a full zoom, backup zoom, you'll see certain things at certain distances. Well, the farther you go out, those distances get bigger, but the amount that you see is smaller. In other words, the farther you go back into the horizon, a fraction of an inch, a millimeter of an inch is, say, a mile, and then another half a millimeter is another mile, and so on and so forth. So you're seeing further and further and further, and things get smaller and smaller and smaller to the point where you can't even resolve these items or these objects. And you know, again, here's the Bayport bird rack right here, and look at this boat go by it. Look at how high up the water is above it, and that's the thing. Um, you know, under the right light exposure, you're going to see the true horizon. And again, you're going to see these boats that normally you would not see way out there in the horizon. Um, you know, this is one of the days that I was waiting for. The only thing I wish was that the actual visibility was better, and I wasn't getting all the distortion. Um, it was still fairly warm out. I think the water was warmer than the air, so you know we still had some evaporation rate going on, so that distortion was happening. And there's no way you can focus on distortion. So people might say, "Oh, well, this is out of focus. Look at that boat way behind this other boat." They might have been the same size boat, but one's farther back, so it looks half or even a quarter of its size. And here's a bird rack way in the back, and you can see something to the left side of it, which is probably another boat. Um, and like I said, I'm seeing bird racks that I've never seen before. Um, Either that or they're boats, but I go back on some of them in some of the video, and I kind of set on them, and they don't move, and they do appear to be bird racks, but a lot farther out. So there are some other bird racks out there, you know, like Cutter's Rock, and then to the North Rack. There's one farther out than the North Rack, and then there's one over towards Chassowiska that I get too, that I haven't really focused on much, but I do get it. And again, you know, look at these boats. I just can't. It's just so much harder to explain when you're looking at distances and your depth perception. It seems to be like each one of these little wave markers that you see out there are miles. They're because you'll see a boat further out and it's a little dot. All right, that little dot. There's miles in between that little small area that you're looking at. Um, Here I passed some stuff. I wish I would have seen it, but again, I'm looking at this tiny little screen. Here I changed to another video, and here I focus back on this, and I'm wanting to see if it's a boat moving or if it's a bird rack. Yeah, sometimes a boat would get out there and anchor, and I might mistaken it as a bird rack and not a boat. But usually you can tell, you know, the bird racks are squared, and the boats are usually a little more squashed, and they're also usually moving. But again, you know, some of them, like I say, could be stationary, just anchored out there. But this right here is a bird rack. There's no doubt in my mind that that was a bird rack. That was a boat I just passed. In some of my footage, I did spend a little more time watching boats, but I just picked these out because I thought they were a little more interesting. Right here, I'm finding I believe this is the North Rack right here that I'm looking at. And you know, here I'm trying to work this tripod because I got it pretty locked down for the wind. There was some wind, so I had a chair up with a board on it to block a lot of the wind, but I still kept my tripod tight, just so it ain't wiggling so damn much. But every time I try to adjust it, it I mean it makes it more distorted and makes it look weird. But look at this boat coming in on the right side to this bird rack, this North Rack. Look how much further out that boat is than that rack, and look at where the water is. It's above the rack. And look at that. I mean, absolutely amazing. I get this boat going behind the North Rack. The North Rack is, I believe, about 8 miles from me. So, you know, what does that tell you about how far that boat is? Um, it's I shouldn't be seeing this boat, and like I said, normally I don't. The globe believers are going to say that it's refraction, this magical refraction, pulling things up from behind the curve and laying them perfectly out flat in front of me where the horizon should be. Now, how crazy does that sound? Doesn't it sound like my visibility is good? The objects are distorted, but I'm seeing the horizon farther and farther back with the better visibility. I mean, to me, that makes more sense than this magical force of refraction, rolling things out from up under the curve, rolling it up above, and allowing you to see it. Yeah, and we keep asking the globe people to show us a real live footage of refraction pulling something up, and what they give us is, oh, you're doing it for us. We don't have to prove it. Look at your footage. It proves it. Bullshit. My footage is proving that the horizon is farther back, and I'm able to see things farther back with better visibility. So, you globe guys, keep using your propane or your butane to make a false mirror in the above an object and show something below it. And I don't buy that because I'm not looking at butane. I'm not looking at propane over this water. This is actually just warm water causing a distortion of the objects that I can see because I've got the right lighting conditions. Um, so I made this video. Like I said, I might put all the other video together into just one video, post it. You know, people can watch it. People don't have to watch it, but I'll probably leave a lot of the original audio on because you'll hear me discussing how hard it is to focus on these objects and everything else. Thanks a lot for watching. I appreciate it, folks.